Andy here again, and another video, and this is my regular monthly roundup of new releases and notable reissues that I've picked up during the previous month. So here we are, beginning of November, and I'm looking back at 11 albums that I've bought in November. This is outside other ones I've already shown generally. It's been a really good month. As I say, I'm showcasing 11 records here. Actually, only 4 of them are completely brand new music. So it's been a real month for reissues. Not all of them released first in the month, though some of them are. But these are all important ones that I've discovered and picked up this month that were releases relatively recently, and I've got 5 which are anniversary reissues, so that's unusual in itself. And I'm going to start with those because it includes an album which is is particularly close to my heart, and I'll sort of explain why I keep going on about them. And I'm going to close off with 2 discoveries that I really love these 2 albums. Completely different, but I've picked them up based on recommendations from members of the vinyl community, and I'm glad I got those recommendations. Anyway, let me start with my first one, and it's part of the 20-year anniversary of the Flaming Lips Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, and this only came out on Friday, so I'm recording this on what day is it, on Wednesday, the 1st of November. So this came out last Friday. I've only listened to it once, but I know it well. So it's a double, and it's on pink appropriately. I actually saw a video online on the weekend of and it was Wayne Coyne unwrapping this effectively, and he actually called this bubblegum pink, which I think is appropriate. And he also talked a bit about the artwork, because I did in one of my recent videos talked about art, and in particular the artwork on the actual Flaming Lips, and I was looking at the box set of Yoshimi, and these paintings were all done by Wayne, and he said on this actually that a lot of this particular one and some of the others that have been on the anniversary reissue are ones he's done more recently. So obviously there was original art on the original one, but he's extended that, and apparently this picture on the front is Yoshimi, and she's killed a pink robot, and these other pink robots, their task is to save people from committing suicide, apparently. This is what Wayne is saying. And they can see her distressed, and they're rushing to try and save her. So that's what it is. It's a cracking, and it's a double album. It's got, the opening side's got an introduction, flight tests, race for the prize, Lucifer Sam. So it's got some Lucifer Sam being a Pink Floyd cover, of course. Side 2, it starts in Yoshimi and goes through, some of the tracks there, and goes through side 3. Do you realise? And it's a brilliant album, and it's very important to me, and I'll just briefly explain why I keep turning up around the Flaming Lips, because Yoshimi was released in 2002, but in January 2003 the Lips landed in Britain and started a pretty extensive tour, to be honest. And this was recorded in London on January the 22nd. And if I go back to my personal thing, in the dying days of 2002, I met my second and now wife, Marion, and we got together and started hitting off very very similar taste in music. I introduced her to this because I bought the CD when it first came out. Anyway, on the 17th of January, so 5 days before this, we went to see them. They were playing in Birmingham. We went to see them, and that was our first gig together. And I have to say, it's probably the most bonkers concert I've ever been to. They were supported by British Sea Power, who had just released their first album. And they were very bonkers. It was an amazing gig, and we went to see them several times. When they were touring over the ensuing 10 years or so, and they were really our band. Now, if I wind forward to a couple of years ago, Marion unfortunately suffered permanent brain damage, unable to mobilise, confused, 24-hour care. So she now is looked after in a nursing home. So. I go and see her a couple of times a week, but we can't really share anything. So, to me, this is really important because it's part of my good memories of her. So, I'm going to blub in a minute if I carry on. So, let's move on. Now, this is a 10-year anniversary, and this is a band I'm very fond of, and it's Bardo Pond. And Bardo Pond hail from Philadelphia, and I just think they're difficult to describe in a way. That it's very fuzzy, scuzzy, guitar-based psych rock. I would say it's somewhere where psych rock meets post rock meets shoegaze, and shoegaze of the heavier My Bloody Valentine style. What vocals are there are a sort of almost a drony female voice, and I don't know her name actually, but she also plays the flute over it, which is a juxtapose across the heaviness. And this album, this 10-year anniversary, on just released on Fire Records, this is another one I got last week, is in a black and white splatter on a clear vinyl, so it's really interesting. I've got quite a lot of their other stuff because it's my sort of thing. Going back slightly in time now, so this is another 20-year anniversary. I picked up this month. I think it was released this month as well. And one of Wales's finest, the Super Furry Animals, and this is probably their best album in my opinion anyway. The Phantom Power. So this is a double, and it's on black vinyl. And it's got a nicely stenciled, what do they call it, die cut sleeve. So going back another 10 years, so a 30-year anniversary. I think this was released a couple of months ago, but I've only just picked it up. And that is Suede's eponymous debut, Suede, which turned 30 this year. And it's a great album. It's one. I've never actually had it on any format, but I really enjoyed the singles when they were out. I bought it slightly on a whim, and I'm glad I did because I really like the whole album. It's a really good album. It's stood the test of time. It's beautiful. And going back to 50 years, and I did a whole video on this. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm just going to mention it. It's the 50-year anniversary issue of Dark Side of the Moon, and this was particularly, as I mentioned in my videos, particularly good value. It's absolutely fabulous. It's a superb recording, a superb pressing, not a crackle on it. It really, I mean, it's like one of those audiophile, mo-fis and stuff like that, but it's not. It's just a really good remaster and repress. So, to the new releases, and as I say, I've got 4 here. And I've mentioned lots of times in the past that I have a subscription with Rough Trade, and I get, you know, apart from free postage and delivery and stuff, I get a surprise album each month, and I came very close to pre-ordering this one, and I'm glad I didn't, because it was Rough Trade's monthly one, and it's a new release by Sufjan Stevens called Javelin. It's a single album, and it is on sort of bottle green marbly affair. This is the best of the month, and I suspect will be in my top 10 when the year ends. It is a superb album. I think it's, you know, it's not necessarily better than Carrie and Lowell or Illinois, but it's up there with it. Unlike, I mean, a lot of Sufjan Stevens albums are themed in some way, and if there is a theme here, I'm not sure what it is. It seems to me to be a collection of individual songs, which are quite beautifully written, beautifully sung, beautifully played, which go together really well. So the whole album flows nicely, even if it's not obvious, you know, if anyone connects to the next in any way. You know, if you like, it's just superb Sufjan Stevens. It's you know, singer-songwriting of the absolute best. It's complex but not difficult. It's just a superb album.
I'm frightened of the end. I'm drowning in my self-defense. Now punish me. Think of me as what you will. I grow like a cancer. I'm pressed out in the rain. Deliver me from the poison pain.
This next album is a bit of a discovery. It's from somebody I've never heard of before, or from a band I've never heard of, called it's called Lorraine. It's basically L''Rain. And I sort of, you know, discovered this basically by picking up a review which Pitchfork did, and they gave it an 8.7, and it just sounded really interesting. So I streamed a couple of tracks and thought, that's really good. So I bought the album, and I'm glad I did. It's very difficult to describe in a way. So Lorraine is basically the vehicle of somebody called Jatta Cheek or something like that. And I've never heard of her, but she's in this anyway. And I've never heard of any of her other stuff. It's difficult to describe. The only way I can describe this is it's sort of like a musical collage. There's a lot of variation in here. There's a bit of jazz, there's a bit of indie, there's some spoken word. It's an album of quite a lot of tracks. Let's see how many. No, I haven't got the track listing there. It's in red, by the way, sort of slightly marbly red. So there's a lot of short tracks, but they sort of all meld into each other. This last year, my sort of find of the year was Ways Blood, which I thought was superb, and I'd never heard of her before. And this is sort of, it's not similar musically, but it's similar in the sense of here's somebody I've never heard of who's producing current music, which I really, really like. So this is pushing Sufjan Stevens for my album of the month, but you know, and Sufjan is too superb. But this is a brilliant album, and it's called. Did I say what it's called? It's I've Killed Your Dog, which is a sort of strange name, but a fascinating album, really good.
In the day
one, after last month talking about Slow Dive, this album is another sort of shoegazy, dream pop end of shoegaze, and it's by a US band called Blonde Redhead, and the album is called Sitting Down for Dinner, and it's a release this month. It's on white vinyl, though they call it yogurt, so to me it's white, and it's a beautiful dream pop shoegazy music, and if you like that, you'll like it. If you like Slow Dive and you like Beach House and things like that, it's in that ilk, and it's really good. And this was a recommendation from somebody in the vinyl community, Arthur Prossard, who after my last one says check this out, and I did again. I streamed it a little bit and really enjoyed it, so I went and bought it. The last of my new releases this month was one which I wasn't actually intending to buy this, but at the end I was swayed by the reviews, all of which were really good, and also the recommendation of a good friend, Simon Ball, and I'm talking about the Rolling Stones and their new album Hackney Diamonds, and this version of it is in clear vinyl. I think they've done various colours and things. It's an amazingly good album if you consider how old they are. I like the Rolling Stones, but I've never really sort of bought. I certainly haven't collected anything, and the only real stuff I've got of them is the 3 CD, best of called Grr. I haven't got any studio albums, and I wasn't going to buy this, but I'm glad I did. It's really nice. Now, to me, it's not as good as the other ones I've got this month, but it's a really good Rolling Stones album, and I'm stunned how well Mick's voice is holding up. So, and apparently, according to Ronnie, Hackney Diamonds is a Cockney expression for smashed windscreen, the glass from a smashed windscreen. So I don't know the context of that, but now two reissues which I've never heard before, and both of these were recommendations from vinyl community members, and the first was recommended to me by David Ellis, and the band is called Valium Agaline, and it's Black Moon. You can't see it very well there, but it's a black moon, and it is Valium Agaline were a side project for a band I've heard of but don't really know, called Duster, who are Californian based, and this they produced this it's actually a compilation of 2 albums that they produced in the late 90s, 97 and 98 I think, but I could have that slightly wrong, and they basically do record everything onto cassette. And in fact, they've never been produced on vinyl until now. This came out, I think, a couple of years ago, and the one of the albums was only ever released on cassette. But the production doesn't really sound like it. I can't remember the names of the albums, but one of them is in German, but then they're not a German band, and it's not krautrock. They're in reverse order, so the more recent album is the first LP, and the slightly older one is the second LP, plus there's some additional tracks which didn't get issued originally apparently. The first side of the first LP on this, so their second album, reminds me a lot, not just a bit, but a lot of Bark Psychosis. Now, Bark Psychosis were also a 90s sort of post-rock style band, and their album Hex, which came out in, I don't know, when was it, about 95 or 6, was the album which the term post-rock was coined for. So it was originally coined by a journalist who was writing a review of Bark Psychosis's Hex. And this is a lot like it, and I really, really like it. I never would have known about it. It's you know, it's a pretty unknown thing. My last album is another great find, and this was recommended by Steve Carlson, and it's a 1969, originally issued of a US psych band called Morgan. And this is another good example where they've got some... the artwork is based on a classic piece of art which works really well with it. In this case, it's Edward Munch's The Scream. And I thought to myself, when I vaguely heard of this without really knowing it, and I sort of listened to a little bit. I found it streamed a bit and thought, well, that sounds quite good. And I sort of expected it to be a bit like the 13th Floor Elevators, because it's sort of similar, you know, they're classified in a similar bracket. But this to me is much better. It's much heavier, but it's still definitely psych. And this was a 2022 reissue, so it was just reissued last year. So it's a nice clean copy. It's I think it's just regular black vinyl. Yes, it is. Single album, and it's got 4 tracks on side A and 3 tracks on side B, and it's late 60s psych of the best kind. So that's...
Did you know that Peter Pan can fly? He just pats himself with dust. I'll get you some if you're a very good boy, and if in me you put your trust. I say welcome to the boys.
Albums for that I've got during October. I have got some more and I've shown some more, but these are the new issues or new reissues or notable reissues. So thanks for watching.